Good evening everyone and welcome to my presentation today. I'll be tackling data linkage and this topic is a broad one and it entails a lot of work that can be done, but for me I personally identified one area, that is data linkage detection, prevention and use of cloud computing to be able to solve this problem. So let's start. So the first thing that I was to look at is the introduction part of it, or the background of the study. That is my research, and you'll realize that many companies have information or secret information and other data that depends that the company depends on. So my background states these: the company's information security and other data depends on employees by learning the rules through training and awareness building as sessions. So basically, during these awarenesses or awareness that are built by the organizations, the institutions or the companies or the organizations, data security is mostly depends on how the employees understand the aim of the company, the rules and the regulations of the company, mission and vision, so as to be able to avoid any data linkage from the company. But you should be able to note that, however, security details must go beyond the employees' knowledge and cover the following areas such as physical and logical security mechanisms that is adapted to the needs of the company to employ, use, then the procedure of managing updates, and finally it needs an up-to-date document system. So basically, the background means that the employees are the main, can be the main issue in the company, or they can be helper of the company to be able to detect the data linkage at early stage. So the next thing is my problem statement. My problem statement state this way: traditionally, linkage detection or data linkage detection is handled by watermarking, where a special code or watermark was added to a data for identify who may have linked it in case it is linked. This is good. This is not good method, since it works only when the linked data has been found in the wrong hands and then linked to the agent who leaked it. Identify data linkage and improve the detection of the same using cloud computing, which is the main goal for this research, is the key. The number of cases in which sensitive data have been linked by agents, workers, or other trusted partners of an organization have increased as the technology evolves, and to identify the agent that linked the data is becoming a challenge. This is because the people who linked the data have the basic computer skills, and they may overcome the basic security firewalls or levels that an organization have. Then the next thing that I'll have a look at is the objective. What is the main objective of this research? Is to distributor has given sensitive data, and data distributor has given a sensitive data to a set of supposedly trusted agent than the parties. Then main aim is to identify this agent and determine the type of data that was linked by them. So then the next thing is to identify how cloud computing will handle data linkage in a better way compared to watermarking, which has been used traditionally. Also, identify some of the limitations of data linkage detection using watermarking compared to cloud computing. The next thing, I'll just move very fast because of the limitation of the time that I am supposed to record these lines, and also the storage size that is supposed to be uploaded. The next thing is the research question, and we have three main questions here, whereby the first question states this way: would cloud computing help solve the problem of data linkage, which has increased in the recent past due to technological improvement by the agent of an organization? And also, can cloud computing determine data the data that was linked. That's one whereby the main aim is to identify if cloud computing can help to detect the data that has been linked. The next thing is also to determine which data was linked, because you can be able to be told, the system can tell you data was linked, now which data. Then the next thing is, how will cloud computing and data linkage handle the data linkage in a better way compared to watermarking, which is a traditional method of data linkage detection way? So in this case, we are basically looking at how cloud computing will better the data linkage detection algorithm or levels that has been used compared to traditional ones like watermarking. Then the next thing is, what are some of the limitations when using cloud computing for data linkage detection? So the next thing is the significance of this standard, or why, how important it is, or the importance of the standard. The main aim of doing this research is to make sure that the companies can be able to prevent sensitive data or information linkage. For example, you have an organization that has stored a lot of data either from the consumers or the customers, or the company itself, it may have stored its own data. For example, you may realize that companies store their data, for example, financial statement, financial credentials, a lot of information. So the main aim is to help these companies to be able to prevent this data linkage, or linkage of the sensitive data to the third parties or to the outside world. Then the next thing is to help detect data linkage as soon as it happens in the real time, to make the necessary decisions and also to take the necessary actions. For example, the data has been linked from an organization to the outside world. So the main aim is to make sure that you identify the data that was linked, and also to make the necessary decisions, or to make the necessary actions. For example, the data has been linked. This data is very sensitive. For example, the passwords for the financial account has been changed, has been linked. So the next action that you can do is either you withdraw the cash in the account, or you change the passwords or the credentials for your bank account. Another thing is, for example, the data about a product that was either to be launched, or the ingredient of that product has been linked. What is the necessary decision? For example, you can change the ingredient that you are using, for example, for a given product, or you can change the information about that product that the information was leaked about. Then the next one is, in the case where data has been linked either by the agent or employee, this research is aimed at making sure that one can be able to know who linked the data and at what time. So in these cases, for example, you have so many employees in an organization. The main aim of the research is to identify who linked the data, the time that it was linked, so that you can be able to take the necessary steps. For example, the data was linked by either an employee. You can sack the employee. You can try to know why the employee linked the data, so on and so forth. Then another main aim is to recover data that has been linked from the organization as early as possible. For example, you have identified that a certain ungiven information has been linked. So the best thing that you can do is to try and as much as possible to recover that data before it is circulated to many people or to many third parties. Then the next thing that we'll have a look at is the scope of the standard and the limitations. So the scope of the standard was, this research was focused on looking at the data linkage in consumer service provider organizations. For example, services that are assembled by either communication systems or any other type of system, where storage of important data is done. Then companies that were taken into consideration in Kenya were online retailers and shopping malls. Then we have limitations. Identifying the main organization to use in Kenya was a challenge due to high number of organizations in the country. Then the last, the eighth slide is looking at the literature review data linkage and cloud computing, introduction to cloud computing. So just in simple or layman's language, the cloud is a large group of interconnected computers. So we are talking of so many interconnected computers over the internet. These computers can be personal computers or network servers. They can be public or private. For example, Google hosts a cloud that consists of both smallish and then the next session we'll look at cloud computing and data linkage. Data linkage is an authorized transmission of data or information within an organization, individual entity, or system to an external destination or recipient. Data linkage is defined as accidental or intentional distribution of private or sensitive data to an unauthorized entity or parties. Sensitive data of companies, organizations includes intellectual property, financial information, patient information, personal credit and data, and other information depending upon the business of the industry niche. Then the next thing is the research methodology. Then we have research design, we have study area, we have research study or the study area, you have data resource, we have primary data source, and we have secondary data source. So in this category, primary data source is whereby the research was done face to face or from, we can just say that the primary data was obtained directly from the field, and it was first-hand data that has never been recorded or processed by any other. Then secondary data was obtained either from websites, books, and other resources from online and both the library. Then you have target population. To select representative manufacturing industry sector population, the types of industries expected were more potential or accidental based random and purposive sampling considered. Then we have sample size. Sample size determination is the act of choosing the number of observation or replicant to include in a statistical sample. This sample size is an important feature of any empirical study in which the goal is interference about the population of the sample. Then the last thing is the ethical consideration and conclusion. Ethical clearance was obtained from the department since we wrote our topics, and then they were accepted by our instructor Andrew Omambia. Then conclusion is there. The basic approach of data linkage identification system various areas. They are proposing multiple agile, multi-angle approach in handling situation issues where all studies were detailed. When occurrence of over sensitive data take place, it always watermarks each object to so that it can be able to trace the origin. So thank you for watching, and see you next time.